A lot is being spoken about the Telangana caste survey, but unfortunately, I have to tell you that nobody has really seen at a granular level on what this surveys actually show you. So today, I'm going to discuss in detail on what this surveys actually show. This survey has revealed a lot of interesting things, which I think that nobody has even looked at even till today. So one of the important things which this survey has done is that it has computed something called the Composite Backwardness Index. A composite backwardness index based on 42 parameters. See, usually what happens is that when we take the Mandal Commission, how this backwardness criteria were defined, so there were certain criteria and a very few parameters were taken, and then the evaluation had happened on a very small sample all across the country. But in that sense, the Telangana caste survey appears to be a landmark survey where they have captured very important parameters on social backwardness, educational backwardness, even economic backwardness of various castes on 42 equally weighted parameters. So this is a landmark thing. And then today we have the composite backwardness index, that is what we call as the CBI for all the castes. So what this CBI does, I'll just tell you in a sense that the higher scores on the CBI indicates that the caste has a higher backwardness. If they are lower, then they are low on the backwardness. So the average CBI which has been noticed across all the castes is around 81. So if some castes get more than 81, they can be deemed to be backward. And if they are less than 81, they can be deemed to be less backward. So, and if you have something like 130 or 140 CBI, that means that you are extremely backward. So, higher the CBI index, the backwardness of the community or the caste increases. Now, if you have lower backwardness index, something like 30 or 40, that means that you are well off, you are forward, and then you are much better than the rest of the castes which are backward. So what does this CBI actually indicate? So that is where we have to see. So the CBI indicated that the scheduled castes had, see, they have taken a group CBI scores across, that came to around 96, which is way higher than the average 81. But when we go into the internal SC list, you will start seeing that many castes have more than 100. So that is one more thing. So again, the inter-se backwardness within this scheduled caste community is so high that there is a huge requirement for subcategorization, and Telangana has already carried out subcategorization. The same thing we have noticed it in scheduled tribes, ST. The CBI score is 95, way above the average CBI of 81. The backward classes is around 86. But look at the general caste, OC caste, it is 31. So they are way forward compared to the rest of the population in Telangana. So now what we did was we took this thing, and then now we took the data completely based on the CBI scores. We have tried to rank even the various castes which are there in the general caste, backward caste, and then the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. So let me give a simple example. Like for example, if you take the general category, even in the general category, all 18 general castes are lower than state average of 81. So that is very clear. And then a very surprising thing is that we notice something called a no caste group here. A lot of people have reported themselves to be having no caste. So what this clearly shows is that as the persons become more economically well off, they don't try to associate themselves with a caste. So the CBI scores in this case is much higher, 48. So among the general category and then the no caste category, again what we can see is that even within the OC categories, there is a top player whose average CBI scores range from 12 to 28. So if we see within this, the Kapus are 12, Way Forward, Jains 13, Raju 17, Velama 19, Kamma 19, Brahmins 22, Christians 23, Komati 25. Karnam 27, Reddy 28. So these are all the top layer OC castes. So none of them can be deemed to be a backward classes. So because see, these are very very top general castes who have very high development in the social setup, and they have relatively very very less backwardness index, way high, way lower than the average backwardness index of 81. So this caste cannot be considered as a backward class, or although there are various castes who are demanding that they should be given backward class status, but this data which is very clearly coming out shows that these groups are not backward at all. Now the next is that among the OC class there is a segment called OC Muslims, okay, who have a this OC Muslims are not included in the backward classes, but if you see their CBI scores is also relatively higher, that is 68. So if you club these OC Muslims and then the Brahmins together, they will not be able to compete. The OC Muslims will not get a chance. So here, where some kind of a differentiation needs to be done, even within the general category, is our request. So, but anyway, so that let us leave it to the government how they try to do it. But one thing is very clear is that even among the OC group, that is the general category group, there is a very marked difference among the castes in the intersect backwardness between them. So, some castes like Kapu, Raju, Jains, they are way forward, while the Muslims are way backward. So that is very clearly coming out. But again, these OC Muslims are quite above than the backward Muslims. So again, they cannot be clubbed together. So this is where the challenge really is. Now let us come to backward classes. So here we have tried to build it into a tree model where we say that there are certain castes who have CBI greater than, that is backward classes who have a CBI greater than 100, that is the composite backwardness index is greater than 100, and they can be called more backward than even the SC/ST on an average. So that is why. So this is super severe backwardness, what we call as a extremely backward classes. So here you will find a lot of Muslims being there. Unfortunately, there's a lot of debate on whether Muslims should be given reservations or not. But Telangana survey has made it absolutely clear that there is a certain section of Muslim community who really need this backward class representation and reservation. For example, if you see Turaka Muslim 111 CBI and way higher than 81, 20 plus points. Then Pakir 110 Fakir Muslims. So Qureshi Muslim, Goshanga Muslim. So these are all other castes who are like relatively very 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 severe, extremely backward classes. So they need some benefit. The next is like for example group 2 who can be having a CBI of 81 to 99. So again this caste are quite backward, but again if you see they are not as backward as the others. Now next is the rest, developing, but here the last one is less backward. See, they have relatively very very good, they are not so backward. Like for example if you see SC Christians are included as backward class, but they are 44 CBI, the average CBI is 81, so they are 40 points less. So within this also there are a lot of castes who are quite forward. Then Pamalu 37, Sondi 38. So these are all not we can't tell that they are backward. So see, almost all these castes, they have less than average CBI of 81. So we really do not know whether they are really backward or we should continue to classify them as backward. So this is another big issue which will come up in coming days, whether this caste really classify as backward or not, whether we should really put them in the backward class or whether we should move them into the general caste. So again, next is, if you come to the scheduled caste also, you see extremely backward uh, scheduled caste like CBI greater than 105. Let us see Dakala, Beda Jangama, Sindula, Masti, Baga, Jagali, Holaya, Dasari. So they are extremely backward. Moderate you will see is Goshangi, Mala Hanai, Madiga, Bindla, Madiga Dasu, Mala. So they are 81 to 104, and advanced is Adi Dravida, Adi Andhra, which have relatively, so some of them like Anudatiya 39. So these are all very less population. So this is capturing less. So in these states, we are seeing that they're quite distinct castes which have different composite backwardness index. And one thing is this very clear is that they need adequate protection, and then based on various parameters we may have to implement subcategorization for this group. So even among the scheduled tribes, you can see there are certain castes which are way forward. Some of them are way forward, way backward, and some of them are way forward. So it is very important that even for the scheduled tribes we implement something called the subcategorization. Although today we don't have subcategorization which has been implemented for the scheduled tribes. So if you see, my friends, one thing which is very clearly coming out is that from the Telangana survey, it is very clear that there is interstate backwardness among various castes, and we need to look at how we subcategorize backward classes, scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, and also the general caste. Already I have shown that even among the general caste, there is a real need for subcategorization, because especially the Muslims among the general caste, they require adequate support. So with this, I would just say that this data which is there is a gold mine, and we should use this more effectively to bring out various policies for various castes, and in a targeted way we can reduce their backwardness over a period of time. Thank you, friends.